What you have in front of you are the 4 dragons that were released for Ninjago's pilot waves. Now today we're going to be ranking these dragons from worst to first. Coming in at number 4 we have Shard, or the Ice Dragon. Now there's a couple of reasons why this particular dragon comes in at number 4. Starting with reason number 1, it's gonna be the legs. The legs are very stumpy, as you can see. They're just really short. They're also very simple, but that's not the issue. The issue is more of the fact that they're really short. Now they definitely could have used a knee in here as well. It didn't have to move, but adding that knee would have gave it some height, and they just would have made it look a lot better. So legs, number 1 reason. Reason number 2 is going to be this neck area. He doesn't have a neck. It's just head connecting to the body, no neck. So that's an issue. We definitely should have a neck here that extends the head forward so that he looks better and not so stumpy in this area. The neck is also somewhere where Zane sits, essentially, so having that neck and then having a seat on the neck would have been very nice for this particular dragon. The next thing is the wings. The wings are an issue because while they are a little bit posable, so you can kind of rotate them up, and there is an issue with these hinges where they lose friction over time, so that kind of sucks, but that's a different problem altogether. The main issue here is that you can only twist and move them up here. You can't really move them here. They're stationary there. So I think that's a really big issue. I feel like wings, you should be able to turn them right at that particular point, or pivot point I should say, and this doesn't have that. It only has it here, so you can twist it here, and then you can open the wings obviously and then hinge them right there, so you can hinge them, but that's fine for me. The issue is here, so the wings are an issue there. And then the final issue for me is the tail. The tail can be debatable, right? But of all the dragons, this is the only one that doesn't really have an actual brick built tail, and it stands out. It doesn't really look that good because it doesn't go from essentially big to eventually getting smaller as it gets longer. So that's kind of an issue that I have with this dragon, and that's why it falls in the number 4 spot. Coming in at number 3 we have Rocky, or the Earth Dragon. Now I'm going to start with the biggest issue of all for this particular dragon, and that's the fact that he doesn't have wings. A dragon without wings isn't really a dragon unless you're a Chinese dragon, which he doesn't have that design. Chinese dragons are usually long and skinny. He's a very bulky earth dragon, which are more to the earth, of course, but he still had wings in the show, and while these sets do come first, having wings is pretty important for a dragon. Now, moving on from the fact that he doesn't have wings, though, there is still some other issues. My main one, besides the wings, of course, being that he doesn't have a neck here, and it doesn't look as bad on this one compared to Shard, but still he doesn't have a neck, so it still looks a little weird in this area. So normally this is supposed to be up forward, pretty much right up to his head here, and then there's supposed to be a little bit of a neck behind that, and that's where Cole would sit. So they've kind of did a pretty good job here, and I like how it looks, but they definitely could have done a little bit better with that neck and pushed this forward and had an actual neck piece, and then Cole could have sat there. The next thing is the back legs. The front legs are way taller, and I think that makes it look much better, but the back legs being so low is kind of not doing it for me. He does have articulation here in the middle, as you can see, which is cool, so you can kind of twist and turn them and get them in some cool poses, so I like that. But these back legs are way too short. They should be taller, and then they could have made them articulated as well. That's another issue, is that these aren't articulated. As you can see, they are stationary back there, so you can't twist and turn the actual leg. You can twist and turn the feet and stuff like that, which it gets a little bit squeaky in there, but the actual leg you can't move. The tail I'm perfectly fine with. It does have a play feature in there, which we're not really rating, but the tail looks good. You can see this one is brick built, and it looks way better than what we had on Shard, and the design is overall a lot cooler in my opinion. But again, the fact that he doesn't have wings is the reason he's coming in third. Coming in at number 2, we have the most controversial take on this list, and that is having Wisp or the Lightning Dragon in second place. Now, the reason that this dragon is in second place is because of two big reasons. Reason number 1 being the biggest one, and that is these legs. These legs are way too short for this dragon. They just don't give it the look that you really want from it. He doesn't have any knees in it, which isn't as bad as it sounds. The main issue is that he really doesn't have any height. It's just essentially maybe like 6 studs considering these ball joints at the top and bottom here, but other than that, it's no height at all really. He should definitely be a lot taller than this, and having those knees in his legs would make it a lot better as well. They could have also gone with the same design that they did for Rocky or the Earth Dragon, where they just had the front legs higher and then the back legs could have been shorter, and that would have worked as well. That would have just made it look a lot better. But having all 4 of them be tall would be what I would go for as well. The second reasoning as to why this is in second place is this area right here. So if I turn this, you can see that there is a ratchet joint here, and that only provides movement from left to right. You can't go up with this, and I think that's an issue because then you can't get the dragon in positions where he's really, up here looking down. So it doesn't provide much of a dynamic in that aspect. So those are the two main reasons as to why this dragon is in second place. But other than that, this dragon is great. You get rotation in the wings at this pivot point right here. So you can turn these wings down and up here. You can rotate them back and forth with the ratchet joint. So that's really good. Then you have this ratchet joint here. So you can move these up and down at this point, and then you can twist and turn them on that ratchet joint. So that's really good movement. And then there's even more in his side area. So let me move this wing a little bit further up, and the jaw fell out. So that's going to happen sometimes with these things just because it gets loose after so long, which sucks, but it is what it is. But then you have this right here. So these joints, 2 ratchet joints, so you can twist and turn them. Let me get a better grip here. Twist, turn them. You can angle them left and right. So you can get some really crazy positions out of this dragon, which is super cool. And then of course the tail is brick built as well, and you can move that back and forth, mainly not really turning it side to side except at this pivot point right here. But the articulation on this dragon is definitely a cut above the others, but again, it suffers because of the anatomy. It just feels too short, and that's why it's in second place. And finally, coming in at number 1, we have Flame or the Fire Dragon. Now, the reason that this dragon is coming in at number 1 is it does a lot of good stuff that a lot of the other dragons did bad. The main area really being the legs. Look at how much better these legs look compared to the other ones. So these actually have a joint in them. It doesn't move, but just having the ability to see that joint gives the dragon, much more anatomical correctness, and it looks a lot better. First, you have the upper thigh here, or just the thigh, I should say. Then it bends, so it looks like this is a calf, and then you have the feet, of course, and it looks so much better. You also have the wings, so the wings are articulated as well. That's nice. Obviously, the design is different compared to Wisp, so he's not going to have as many issues or as many problems that you can run into when it comes to articulation. There is some stuff that I don't like. First, the feet. I don't like that they're stationary. As you can see, they're not on a ball joint, so they don't move or anything like that. So that kind of sucks. And the other thing that I'm not really a big fan of is how they did this neck connection here. It's stationary, but because of the way that the dragon is kind of built, he's already very high off the ground, so it doesn't really detract from how it would look overall. The legs are already at an angle where he's really going to be in this position looking down, so the fact that this is like this doesn't detract from this, and that's a good thing. So these are my only 2 issues, again, is the feet and then this connection here. But overall, this dragon definitely looks the best in terms of anatomy. The head, you could argue, is still too big for its body, but overall it looks really good, and that's really the reason that it came in first place, is because of that anatomy and how well it looks. So that's going to be my ranking from worst to first for the pilot dragons, with Shard being the worst and Flame being first. Now, I know that these lists can be kind of subjective, but I tried to be as objective as possible with this, and I know that the very top of this list can change, so let me know down in the comments what your ranking is. I know Wisp and Flame can technically be interchangeable, but I personally think that Flame does take the cake here with how he looks overall compared to Wisp, just because Wisp is so short in the legs. Now again, if you enjoyed this video, consider liking the video, and if you are enjoying this type of content overall, consider subscribing. It is completely free and helps me out in the long run. Now as always, I will see you guys in my next video.